Warning. This show features dark subjects which may be triggering to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Chaos Jar. I'm J Wes Secord, the loud and obnoxious one. Hey. Over here we have our big bag of facts.
Hey.
Bad Ben. Don't fucking interrupt me! Anyway, and then, as always, we have our good friend A.T. Token.
He's in a bit of a mood.
It's a very special episode.
Yes. So, give us the house cleaning.
All right, so follow us on Instagram or Twitter at BAChaosJar, or you can, reach J Wes on Twitter at I'm glad you asked _ we keep waiting for that reaction.
It's an ellipses.
Yeah. You can also find us on Facebook, Pandora Jar Podcast. There's just no way of fixing that right now. Apparently, Facebook is too busy for that. And I did manage to fix the Patreon, so it is now Chaos Jar on there. Patreon.
Awesome!
Yep. Patreon.com/ChaosJar. You can donate, become an executive producer, and you get early access to the bonus material, which I have 3 episodes up on there right now, so...
Get us a mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can listen to us just talk about absolute nonsense.
Well, the last one I uploaded was about the Mandela effect, so that was an interesting...
We do cover actual topics when we're not just exploding internally.
Well, it's true. I guess we do actually get into some topics.
It's funny, because when I listened to that thing, it was us explaining to Token what the Mandela effect was, and him denying the fact that it's actually any sort of effect.
Yeah. God,
different causation, but whatever.
You know what I also find funny too is how our bonus episodes have slowly started to get kind of like political.
Yes,
we start slowly getting more and more like, I'm pissed at the world.
Yeah, they get way more intense.
Yeah. Anywho, I'm gonna roll this along and say what's going in the jar today.
So, what was going in the jar today is we're going to talk about Johanne Johnson.
Okay. Alliterative?
It's a person.
Is he a Marvel character?
No, it's Johanne Johnson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I might have messed that up at the beginning, but Johanne Johnson.
I heard Johanne.
I heard Johanne.
Johanne.
Or Johanne. No, I heard Johanne. That's what I heard.
Yeah, so, Johanne Johnson.
Johanne Johnson. Not Johanne Johnson.
And it's quite an interesting tale.
Johanne Johnson is our good Amish friend.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a part of the show, but he shuns technology.
And me.
Oh, wow. Oh, God.
We're off to a good start.
There's no barn, English.
I'm laughing because of your expression. You're like, oh, God, and then you broke.
Yeah. All right. So let's set the setting a little bit. We're talking. Part of this tale takes place in Rivière-du-Loup, which is a small city on the St. Lawrence River in Quebec. It's the county seat of the Rivière-du-Loup municipality. It's the name of a local river. It means Wolf's River. The name could either come from a local tribe of indigenous people known as les loups, which is the wolves, or from the large number of seals that congregate here, known as loup marin, which is actually a way better term for seal than the one I know.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It requires translation.
Yeah.
Any translator.
Can you imagine being in the 3rd grade and learning that the French term for seal is fuck?
Yeah, I was there too, right? Well, not your school, but you get what I mean. I actually wanted to make jokes and things about, like, where someone would try to swear and then they would censor it by cutting away to a French seal and he'd be like, "What are you looking at?"
The Late Show.
Yeah.
All right, so
that's Monsieur Fuck.
yeah.
You'll be our new character, the French seal.
Well, I like that that they describe it as loup marin, which is like sea wolf, which that's what they're describing seals as, which
It's not accurate.
Yeah, I've never seen that in my life, but okay.
You know what? I could accept it because we see them as dogs for the most part.
Yeah, that is true.
Very weird water dogs. Even though, like, the later of them go into lions.
Are you thinking of manatees?
What?
Are you thinking of manatees?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm thinking of seals.
Manatees are like sea cows.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like, they constantly make jokes in it. Like, did you ever see Homeward Bound 2? Like, he looks at the seals and is like, that's what happens when dogs stay in water too long.
Yeah.
Never made that association, but okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So the city was established in 1963 and then incorporated into the town of Fraserville in 1850.
Fraserville?
Yeah. It became a city in 1910 and 9 years later reverted back to the original name of Rivière-du-Loup. Between 1850 and 1919, there was a vast migration of Anglophone residents into this area. So like a bunch of English-speaking people came here. But they had mostly abandoned the city by the 1950s. Only 1% of the people here speak English as their first language.
Is that part of the war?
No, I think that's just mostly because as this area grew more popular and as Quebec slowly broadened out, it became this thing where everybody was becoming French and the law started to change where they don't have to provide English in there anymore. So then English residents get kind of the short stick. So
yeah, the French Canadians aren't the happiest people.
No, they aren't.
To be fair, they live in Quebec.
With all the French people.
Hi, I live here.
Cold there.
It's also funny, like, I remember being back in history class and hearing about how the French Canadians just, like, they hated the actual French for not defending them. Yeah. So they're just like, we hate all the English here and the other French.
Yeah, but could you think of anything more French?
So in the 1950s, there was actually a nuclear accident here. A USAF B-50, so it's a plane, was returning a nuclear bomb to the USA. There was some engine troubles, and that caused the bomb to be released. The bomb was detonated in a non-nuclear explosion that scattered nearly 100 pounds, or 45 kilograms, of uranium around the area.
Like U-235? Jesus.
That's terrifying to think about, that they were just like, oh, we got engine problems, release the bomb.
You know what?
It's just a bunch of French people.
Wait.
I mean, if they were going to crash, in theory, the impact could set it off. But dumping radioactive material across...
We were going down, let's just drop the bomb. I'm a seal.
Well, the bomb...
Chain-smoking seal.
Like I said, it was returning the bomb to the USA, so I don't think there was any French people on here.
I do.
So, notable people from here. Sir John A., the first Prime Minister... Sir John A. Macdonald, the first Prime Minister of Canada, which... You know, we idolize him here in Canadaville, USA.
Yeah. Well,
you do.
We understand.
I don't at all. But
we just know all the prime ministers of Canada. Sorry, the presidents of Canada.
The one that live in the giant igloo.
Yeah. America's hat.
So anyways, that racist guy had a summer home here.
Yeah, God.
Dr. John McLaughlin, who was born here in Rivière-du-Loup and baptized as Jean-Baptiste McLaughlin. He's famous as the father of Oregon for assisting America in helping settle the Oregon area. Cool. His general store was actually one of the last stops on the infamous Oregon Trail. So he was born here.
And didn't die of dysentery.
Yep.
Cool.
The other part of our story...
What? Have you played the game Oregon Trail?
No.
Oh, everyone dies of dysentery.
Oh, really?
Moving on.
So, that, like, the main part of this story, though, like, the first part and the ending part do take place in the Gaspé Peninsula, inside of Gaspésie, Ile de la Madeleine region of Quebec. Yeah, I can speak French like crazy. But anyways,
morph into like Japanese.
Yeah, it's a French-Japanese man.
Now people will understand I'm racist.
Yeah.
As if we did.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've actually been in this region. Actually, my grandpa, when I was about 14, decided to do this trip around the peninsula and then down into New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island.
I did the same as a kid.
Yeah.
So how was the rads?
Delicious.
I don't know, but I did develop cancer later.
Oof.
Even I have to say that's sealed up. I love he laughed at it.
Yeah, you even got him laughing. Like,
it's not good. Like,
so
no lines.
Do you need water? Are you dehydrated? What's going on?
So anyways, I've been there. Token's been there. It's a pretty gorgeous area. And one of my favorite spots, and it has a really good tie into this story, is the city of Percé. So, Percé means pierced. And the reason is because there's a giant rock formation there known as Percé Rock. We'll talk about it in a second. But the attractions of this city...
It's not the clit. Relax.
Oh, okay.
Are Ile Bonaventure, which is Bonaventure Island, and Percé Rock. So it was originally part of the homelands for the Mi'kmaq indigenous people, and the area was called Sigsog for steep rocks. That's what it was. Yeah, I know. Your face.
Oh, God. I give myself away. Sigsog.
Sigsog. So, Bonaventure Island used to be a fishing settlement. However, in 1919, the island became a migratory bird sanctuary. So, all these migratory birds were always flying there anyways, and the residents were being kind of overrun by them anyways. But it eventually led to the expropriation of the island by the province of Quebec in 1971. And the province of Quebec then evicted all 35 families, and those were all the residents on the island. They evicted them. There are still structures on the island from the original settlers and from the people who did live there. They're just basically there with all these birds migrating around.
They
them.
didn't even dismantle it?
No.
Just get the fuck out?
So it's now just a place for birds?
Yeah, people can go on it, but it's just there's 203 species of birds that live on this freaking island, and they're just everywhere.
Oh, I assume hunting's great.
I don't think
sanctuary.
Jesus. Just some guy on this boat getting ready to go to the island. He's got a gun.
Just a big
I can't
gun.
wait to shoot myself a real big one.
Actually, in my head, for some reason, it's the hunter from Jurassic Park. And he tries to shoot the bird, and then the bird comes up like Raptor's like, clever girl.
I just want to see you with a punt gun. Hilarious.
God, I think a real musket would be.
Do you know what a punt gun is?
No.
It's like the size of a canoe, and it shoots like a broad scatter shot to hunt ducks. I don't think I've ever heard of one being used after like 1920 or something.
So if one of our fans has this gun, they can ship it to us, and we'll gladly hold it up on our radio show where you can see it.
We are not doing live action duck hunt. Like by the island.
It's literally just going to be like the episode and then a picture of the gun.
And then promptly us getting arrested. Or at least me.
Yeah. He's got a gun! Wes is holding the gun to get it away from him.
Wasn't there a Family Guy joke where they're like, he's got a gun! Yeah. No, I don't. And then he just drops a gun next to him.
He dropped a gun.
It's when the police thing is beating up Cleveland, and they're like, he's got a gun, and the machine puts it next to him, like...
That is a terrible joke to bring up of all time.
Right now.
Yeah.
All right, so on with that. So Rocher Pierced, or Pierced Rock, is a sheer rock formation. It's one of the largest natural arches in the world, located in water. So it's just
gorgeous.
Yeah. The name comes from a 15-meter eroded arc at the base of the rock that looks like a giant needle went through the rock. This arc is so large that a small boat can pass through during high tide. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I would, and you guys have both been there?
Yep.
Not to that particular spot, but I've been there.
I would, I kind of want to check that out, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to show you guys pictures of it afterwards, but I'll also be posting that on social media. But it's a really neat formation, and you see it as soon as you enter the city. It's crazy. Like it's just that large.
Yeah, I got it. I understand. You're not cultured. Got it. Yeah. You got it.
So it was given the name of Rocher Pierced by Samuel de Champlain.
Really?
In 1607, yep. Oh. There's evidence that it was originally connected to the mainland, as Jacques Cartier describes it with 3 arches in 1534. So originally it was connected to the top of that sheer cliff that's just there. And then probably what happened is that one of the arches collapsed. However, Captain Harvey Smith who was a British captain, drew a picture of it with 2 arches in 1760. So between 1534 and 1760, it did drop down to 1 arch. And Samuel de Champlain does describe it without being connected to the mainland. So it probably happened within like 60 years of him getting there.
Interesting.
In June 1845, one of the arches collapsed, leaving an obelisk where the base of the other arch had been. So basically there was an arch and then the arch collapsed and it just left the rock with the arch and then one off to the side of the south.
Like a vertical component.
Sorry, I know I'm smiling. It's because in my brain I'm like, yeah, so it's like the arch broke off and then the arch was arched with an arch.
Yeah,
and
the arch and the arch.
I was expecting a dick joke.
And then an archer
shot his arrow through the arch at high tide when his boat went through.
John Benjamin narrated.
God, I wish I could do an impression of him.
So the rock actually has some legend surrounding it. According to the legend...
Is it Samoan?
No.
Oh.
Perce Rock is a monstrous giant. A handsome young French army officer, Raymond de Narac, fell in love...
Specified handsome.
Yep. Fell in love with a girl named Blanche, which I think is amazing that she's named White.
I like the fact that she is not described as handsome.
Yeah.
I'm not considered a little insulting.
She's not described as anything. But just... the other guy had to be handsome.
Yep. And young. He was...
yeah. Handsome and young. And then there's Blanche.
Yeah. So the two got engaged. Later, Raymond was, against his wishes, was posted to Quebec. Because of the love for the army officer, Blanche traveled to Quebec to marry him. On her way, her ship was attacked by Spanish pirates, and she was taken to the pirate captain who proposed to marry her.
Well, that took a turn.
However, she jumped off the ship before she could be married. The following day, the pirates woke up to find a huge rock floating near their ship. The rock resembles a floating ship, so it does, from a distance, kind of look like a floating ship.
We're being boarded.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't understand how that makes this a monstrous giant, but it is a giant. It is a giant rock. Like, it is huge.
Honestly, monstrous giant. They're almost. It's like putting 2 synonyms together for a second.
All right.
Oh, he's touching his phone
to show us a thing. Most likely the rocket.
There you go.
Whoa! Look at that porn.
Yeah, lots of porn.
You will stick your dick in anything. That's what you whisper to them, don't you?
Kind of looks like a sci-fi rifle.
Yeah, a little bit, eh?
Yeah, I don't know which game I'm thinking of, but it's a video
rock bridge
game
to me.
What?
Just looks like a rock bridge to me. All right.
All right, so
Now we can see who has the imagination.
Yep.
So, with all that backsetting kind of taken care of, we're going to go on the Gaspé Peninsula to Grand Rivière, which is Big River. And we're going to meet up with James DeBay, who wakes up at 3 a.m. on the morning of April 30th in 1998.
Is he related to the books?
It's funny because as I wrote it, I was like, oh, God.
It's coming.
we get the Mike Tyson jokes back.
Believe me, we'll put that on the book box.
The book box.
We'll put the Dubé on the book box, and we'll put that on the bookshelf. All right. So he wakes up at his brown brick bungalow.
Like
There's
literally.
too many. Oh my God! There's too many bees in this.
Thank you, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. On Route 132. He is really careful to not wake up his two daughters as he gets ready for work. So he pulls on his work clothes and kisses his wife, well, his fiance, and heads out the door, jumps into his white Ford pickup truck. He drives along Route 132 for about 3 kilometers or 1.9 miles to Grand Rivière's wharf, where his fishing partner, Gilles Lebreu, is waiting for...
Excuse me, what?
Gilles Lebreu.
One more time.
Gilles, or Guise.
Right. Gilles LeBlur, got it.
Anyways, is waiting for him. And the two men climb aboard the boat, and gay porn ensues. No.
And that's my fanfic. Thank you for watching.
All right, so the two men are on the boat, and they head out to check lobster traps. Gilles remembers...
I did it again! It's gonna be stuck in his head now.
Luckily, he's not a major player in this. Yeah. So he remembers, and quote, James was raising the cages, and I emptied them before putting a mackerel bait inside. We had 250 cages, we had to work quickly, and we didn't talk much. End quote. And I will say that a lot of these quotes I translated myself from French articles, so...
Oh.
Yeah, so it may not be verbatim, but it's basically as I took it, like how I translated it, so...
That's still kind of cool.
Yeah.
That you can do that. Like, I can't do that with anything.
It's funny because some of these articles, when I was reading through...
TV.
If it's in a different language, no.
It's funny because some of these articles, when I was reading through, would translate on their own through Google Translate. And they were so butchered, and I'd be reading them and being like, I don't understand anything going on. Did she get a sex change? Like,
Google Translate had a stroke.
Oh my God. Funniest thing. Sorry, a little anecdote. I was on Facebook. I posted a thing. Someone typed "bahahaha" on Facebook, and then Google Translate legit said, "Translate this." So I'm like, "See translation." So I click it, and it's "bahahaha," and it's the same thing, and it broke me. Like, fuck off! Why?
Yeah, I've actually seen one of those in a Facebook group that I was in for Rick and Morty, and they're posting this thing that doesn't seem to make any sense, but then when you click on the translation, it says, I love you, but it's just a random amount of, like, consonants. So I was like, somebody programmed this to, like...
Could be Welsh.
So,
maybe.
As far as I'm concerned, the translation went from bahahaha to
All right. So, after resetting the lobster cages, the two men return to shore. James brought the lobsters to the Grand Rivière fish factory that he co-owns. So he actually co-owns this fish factory. He then returns home. James' profession is an oddity because his father, Raymond Dubé, was also a lobster fisherman. However, in 1991, he got caught in a net, which pulled him into the winch of his boat and instantly killed him.
Yeah.
Oh.
So...
Ugly.
This didn't deter James, though.
Even I have to say that's fucked up.
At this point, he's 37, and he seems to be in the prime of his career, and he's extremely successful. He also loved in his free time basically to go moose hunting, and during the winter he would snowmobile around the peninsula. So he was just a really rugged guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he loved this fisherman stuff, because he had the free time to do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
You're just so pleased with yourself.
I'm not. I'm actually trying to keep it down so that Ben can...
It makes it worse.
But like,
you gotta like duck down.
The minute you guys both look at me, I'm like... I can't not smile.
So...
Your pretty faces.
James was well known and admired in Grand Riviere, and we're handsome.
We're handsome and young.
Yeah. So he's well known and admired in Grand Riviere. He grew up there and was known as a friendly but very firm man. So he didn't really like to step on anybody's toes, but he also wasn't going to let anybody step on his toes.
Friendly yet firm man.
Yep.
Does not sound the way you make it sound.
I know.
Everything sounds like a pickup ad to you, doesn't it?
Well, think of it. Never mind.
He's been single too long.
Yes, I have.
So
friendly yet firm.
It's funny because an Akon song just hit me, and I was like, So
my sister was once promoted by Akon when she was almost an R&B star. True story.
Was it before or after he raped women?
I don't remember. But this was a long time ago, though.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't really been relevant in years.
Yeah. We're talking like a good almost 10 years now.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
I'm sorry I derailed our boat story.
Totally. So, anyways, around noon, James's wife, Johanne Johnson, arrives at the house.
What is with the alliterations?
With 2 subs.
This story was written by Stan Lee.
Yeah. So she arrives at home with 2 subs.
So he will show up.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Excelsior!
Who do you think played Jizz?
his cameo. Jizz LeBlur. Cameoed by Stan Lee.
Now you just see a 37-year-old man getting onto a boat with this man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everything I just knew is now gone. It's brand new.
So, his fiancée returns with 2 subs that she had bought for them at a convenience store. So you know it's quality food.
Oh, that kind of sub.
Yeah.
That makes it sound way more interesting.
They got a side business.
Yeah, like I went to a convenience store, bought these submarines, thought we could go for a drive together. Couple things.
I thought you meant like a Domina sub. That's where I was going with that.
In our marriage, we didn't realize we were both subs. We're both doms. So we had to go to the convenience store and buy subs.
Don't kink shame us.
How did that become our catchphrase?
I have no idea.
There is a shocking amount more to work with today. Okay.
All right. So she brings 2 subs. So she brings 2 sub sandwiches home, and they eat, and then they enjoy some intimate time.
Wait, this could still be sex.
This could be.
Token's theory might be correct. Oh my lord.
Hey guys. You think we're still talking about sex here? I'm confused.
Alright. So
Do you need water?
Just go on.
So then Joanne heads off to work at the fish factory because he owns it. She's his wife.
How much innuendo do we have here?
Oh, God.
So James, now satisfied in many ways.
Yeah, his wife works at the fish factory.
And she brought a couple of subs.
He lays down on the couch, crosses his arms, and falls asleep for a nap.
Sounds like a resting pimp now.
Typical man.
Well, you know, having to work over those subs is really... So,
Sandwich style.
James's brother, Andre, is about to paint a car at the garage that he owns.
That's quite a jump to a different situation. Meanwhile...
Yeah. And Granivier, his phone suddenly rings, and on the other end is an acquaintance of the family who informs him that something serious has happened to his brother. In less than 5 minutes, Andre arrives at the house, like his brother's house, and sees an entourage of ambulances and police. Quote, I park in the driveway and see the police and paramedics everywhere. There must have been about 20 people. I was not allowed to go inside the house. Guy Labelle, an investigating officer for the Sûreté de Québec, major crimes, is for Eastern Quebec, was on his way to Rimouski when Rimouski is a city.
I know. I really need to stop reacting so you can continue on.
So he is told to head back to Granivier, which is roughly 150 kilometers north. He arrives at the Debay house at 5 p.m., where he is led inside and to the living room. Quote, I see a man lying on the couch, lifeless. He is dressed in jeans, dressed in work clothes. He has a gunshot wound to his head. The house appeared to be ransacked. Pots and pans were everywhere. His oldest daughter found him. She is hysterically crying in the kitchen.
How old is she?
It doesn't say. Joanne returns to the house as well, and, quote, she seems in shock. This is from LaBelle. The officers set up a roadblock and begin to paint a portrait of James's day based on the interviews from family, friends, neighbors, work colleagues. They also begin looking for the murder weapon, but can't find it. LaBelle realized something during the investigation of the house. Quote, the TV, the hunting rifles in the basement, everything was still there. I found that strange. Normally, valuables go first. The pots on the floor, something was wrong. The house was a mess, but it wasn't a normal mess. It was a deliberate mess. End quote. Andre Dubé, his brother, plunges into a state of shock. Questions float around in his brain. He begins to wonder about enemies that his brother might have had, possible rival fishermen, someone that he had a small quarrel with. However, both brothers were well-liked in the town, and they didn't often step on other people's toes, so they didn't really get into a lot of fights with people.
Dissatisfied subs?
Yeah. You didn't do it right!
Very satisfied. I want more!
So, he begins to question, was this possibly an affair gone wrong? Like, he maybe had a mistress, and the mistress's husband found out, or the mistress wanted him to continue, and he didn't, like, he just ended it. But it didn't seem to fit. Joanne and James had just celebrated an engagement dinner 3 weeks beforehand, and the couple seemed incredibly happy, and James had seemed delighted with the upcoming wedding. So, not really the behavior of somebody who's having an affair. Is this person going to come back? And that's a big one for me, because if somebody kills, like, they're gonna, like, you don't know who they are, so they might come back.
And they didn't take anything.
Yeah, so it was obviously a personal thing. What happens if he's after the kids?
Either that, or in your brain, you're like, oh shit, he must have forgot he left the stove on and is coming back to steal the stuff.
Shit, I shot that guy for nothing. I gotta go back there. Like, I just imagine some crack addict being like, fuck, I killed him and I forgot all about it. Like, damn it.
Damn you, Crack! Why did you do this to me? Oh, I can't stay mad at you. However, Crack is ingested.
Oh, God. I love that your hands tried to do something, but they couldn't quite figure out what they were doing.
Yeah, well, at first I went to the needle. I'm like, no, that's not quite right. It would be a pipe. And then I'm like, wait, no, is it the pipe? Well, fuck it. I can't figure it out, so I'm throwing this away.
As if you actually had something.
Yeah, I do that more often than you think. Like, this world is littered with my invisible props.
Just walking down the street. Oh, God damn it, Wes! So,
the fuck was that?
So, this question really rings in Andre's mind. And he opened his house to Johanne and the two daughters to kind of keep them safe, because if they're not at the house, then if it's an attacker... he and his wife made the guests feel as comfortable as possible, and they all processed their grief together. So it worked out in favor for both of them, because they're grieving and like everybody's grieving, and they all under the same house, and now they know they're safe for the most part in this house.
It's a good family moment for a horror movie.
The case got a false lead a few days after the murder, when a neighbor of James's fell in his basement, cutting his neck on an aquarium and dying.
Oh, God!
Everyone went wild and began thinking that this was a series of attacks, but this was quickly disproven to be just an accident that happened.
Oh, jeez.
What a way to be clumsy.
Oh, God. Oh, neck wounds.
Such an unpleasant
For some reason, those always get me.
I have a thing about
You die slowly.
cutting open people's wrists. I think, like...
Well, it's not necessarily fatal.
No, but because I found my ex-girl... Well, not my ex-girlfriend, but my first ever girlfriend, because I found her like that.
That's different.
Yeah. So anyways, while this is happening, Andre begins to suspect some misdeeds from his sister-in-law, so Johanne. She wasn't asking any questions about James's death. And this is a quote from him. She was cold and indifferent. She wasn't crying. End quote. This could be written off as anything, basically, because everybody grieves differently.
Yeah.
Like, I know that with my dad's funeral, I didn't really cry until everything was long over.
Shock.
Mostly because everybody in my family was, like, falling apart, and I just felt like if I fall apart right now, then there's no...
Someone needs to hold it together.
Yeah. However, Johanne stopped by her own house and took a shower in the house only days after the murder, which is weird. Then Andre overheard Johanne on the phone shopping for a car for their daughter, which was a purchase that James was completely opposed to.
Huh. You know, I feel like Andre might have heard the title of this story.
It's his ghost.
So, quote, the next day she was talking about having a house built, end quote. So the autopsy shows that James was killed with a 22 caliber, which was similar to a hunting rifle that James had kept on his boat. This rifle had been stolen a few weeks before the murder. So they investigate around the fishing marina and look into leads with other fishermen that may have had the opportunity to steal the rifle, but nothing turns up.
Also, 22 is a disgustingly popular caliber.
Yeah, and he has hunting rifles in the basement, but none of them are matching up to this bullet. So, around this time, Johanne begins to surface as a true suspect. Despite appearing to be a happy couple, there was accounts of domestic violence in their relationship. Johanne was also the last person to see James alive. They asked Johanne to take a polygraph test. She outright refuses and states that she had nothing to do with the murder of her husband. With no murder weapon or any evidence, they drop the investigation on Johanne because they have nothing. They can't proceed with anything, really.
Yeah.
So fast forward to December 6th, 2012. So this happened in 1998. We're now in 2012. It's 3 p.m. and Johanne pulls up to the house that she shares with her new partner in Rivière-du-Loup. Because she moved from Grand Rivière to Rivière-du-Loup. She had moved here after James's death. On the street is a woman standing by her own car. Standing by her car and staring at the house. Johanne asks if she can help the woman. The woman replies that she is lost. She's looking for her estranged sister to tell her sister that their mother has passed away. Johanne offers to help the woman, and the woman climbs inside of Johanne's car. The two then begin to scour the neighborhood. Then they begin to scour the city. The woman shows Joanne a picture of her sister and offers $50 for the help. Joanne refuses the money because she says she just likes to help. The woman insists and puts the $50 bill in a glass jar located on the console of the car. So I guess it's in like the cup holder. And
Yeah.
I don't know why she has a glass jar in there, but
It'd be easier to, because people put change and stuff, it's easier just to throw it in there and then pick up the jar to grab the change.
yeah. So the two search the town for roughly 2 hours. They discuss their lives. Joanne focuses on her health problems. She's now 52 and off work. Her grandkids, and her daughters. She tells the woman that she's been off work for health problems for a little while now. And at 5 p.m., the two return to Joanne's house having not found the sister. And the woman offers Joanne another $50. Joanne refuses again, but despite this, the woman puts another $50 bill in the jar. The woman then says that there's a reward for $500 that will be given to anyone who helps the woman connect to her sister. They exchange numbers, and this begins a kind of friendship. Joanne and the woman would meet up, and while still looking for the woman's sister, they would also have lunch, dinner, sit around and chat. The woman would always give $50 to $100 to Joanne for the time that she's putting into helping find her sister.
That's really weird, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, it's not just me.
I was thinking the same thing. I was also thinking, is the twist that Joanne was the sister all along?
I wish.
The sister.
Life is a soap opera.
I was going to say, the sister was friendship all along.
She was just looking for a chosen sister.
Yeah.
So anyways, one day the two meet up, and Joanne appears to be in a very good mood. She opens up about to her newfound friend about her personal life. Joanne tells the woman that she's a survivor of domestic violence from her ex, who, quote, has died in an accident, unquote. Joanne talks about a 32-day hospital stay from a beating that her ex, the dead ex, had given her. She talks about problems in the past with alcohol and gambling. She states that she used to do housework for the elderly through an organization, but is currently on leave from it because of her health problems. Joanne also mentions to the woman that her new boyfriend controls all her finances, including her widow's pension. So the woman then receives a call about needing to pick up a vehicle in Montmagny and bring it to Lévis. According to the woman, her husband has a company, and the woman works for him. She asks Joanne if she'll drive the car for her, and then she'll receive a payment for the service. Joanne accepts, and the woman offers her a job within the company when this task was completed. So basically, they start working together for these car drop-offs. Joanne does several of these vehicle drop-offs for her new employers, and is paid a substantial amount of cash each time. She also begins to sell cloned gift cards, fake hockey jerseys, and stolen mobile phones.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
But unsurprisingly.
Obviously, these car drop-offs are stolen cars being moved.
Well, the constant cash is kind of the hint there.
Holy shit!
I know, I just saw your mind just blow.
You don't say!
So, now, remember that this happened that she first met this woman on December 3rd. We're now at December 20th, 2012. The woman gave Joanne a gift, perfume and a Celine Dion CD.
Oh, how French. Like, unbelievable.
That's what I give my best friends.
So this gift also marks the beginning of a change for the work that Joanne would be offered from the woman. Joanne is entrusted to transfer a suitcase that's in the trunk of a car from Rivière-du-Loup to Sainte-Foy. She meets the woman's husband and a few others in the organization when receiving this job, and they tell her that they cannot reveal what is inside the suitcase, but assure her that it's not drugs.
Oh, great.
Don't worry, it's not drugs. Wink.
Fingers.
Wink.
So Johanne agrees to the job, and the group celebrates. And after she completes the task with a fancy dinner at an upscale restaurant called Le Bate in Quebec City. She then hangs out with the new group of friends on January 29th, 2013, and watches a game of hockey. The Montreal Canadiens win 4-3 versus the Winnipeg Jets. Despite her not being a hockey fan, Johanne clearly enjoys her night.
Such a Canadian thing.
I know. I even love that it's the Montreal Canadiens playing against the Winnipeg Jets.
I think my favorite part, too, is in this report, they specify the score and everything and then proceed to go...
And the Montreal Canadiens won 4-3.
Yeah, and then Joanne's like, yeah, Johanne didn't even like sports. Like, we needed to put this detail in here.
Yeah.
So the guy writing it is just like, I am so Canadian, I know that exact game.
I am such a Habs fan. Go Habs, go. So Johanne is finally entrusted with a, quote, big job. However, to gain access to the details of this job, she'll have to meet the chief of the organization. The meeting takes place in a cottage in New Richmond on June 19th, 2013. While en route, the woman stops at a Tim Hortons, and Tim Hortons is a coffee chain up here, and I know that it's in like some states in like New York and so on, but Middle Dakota kind of started this.
In Canada.
It was big in Canada, so we adopted it for Canada USA.
Yeah.
I think actually the American branch is here in Middle Dakota.
Yeah. Well, the original store is here in Middle Dakota, so
that's true. That's fair. That's fair.
And everybody knows that Tim Horton was born in Middle Dakota. And
Tim Horton.
Yeah, the original Tim Horton. Because he was a hockey player that died in a car accident.
Yeah, exactly. From Middle Dakota,
yeah,
Canada, USA.
Our vehicles aren't properly built. Anyways, so when the woman returns to the car after this phone call, she states that something is wrong and the boss is not in a good mood. During the meeting, the boss states that the group has heat. He then asks the others to leave, just Johanne and him to have a word privately. Once alone, the boss brings up James's death. Though he doesn't intimidate or accuse her of anything, he asks her of all the details. Quote, I made some phone calls before helping you. I want to know if it's worth it. I'm telling you that if I don't help you, you'll lose it all. If I don't help you, your grandsons won't ever see their grandmother because you killed their grandfather. What happened that day? Johanne responded with, quote, I killed him. I just couldn't take it anymore. He was sleeping and I killed him. End quote. During a small amount of questioning, Johanne admits that she killed James and states that there was a lot of pressure on her. She said the decision wasn't premeditated. Apparently, it happened in the heat of the moment. After James had fell asleep, she shot him twice with the .22 caliber rifle. She
Twice?
Once in the neck and once in the head.
Ah, okay.
After that, she then ransacked the pots and pans to simulate a flight. So basically just to make it look like somebody broke in here. Mm-hmm. And after that, she rolled the gun up in a rug and took it to the woods in Chandler, which is about 15 minutes from her house. So she took it to a whole other city. She disposed of it in the woods. So Johanne explains to the boss that she inherited James's boat, which she sold for 175,000 Canadian dollars. Which is like $2, and then received $30,000 from the life insurance payout.
You know, you set our country by saying bucks. That's not an American thing.
Given away.
So she gave her money to her dad. She gave money to her dad to pay his debts, then spoiled her daughters. She could feel the pressure of the police for a while and felt like they were following her, so then she moved to Rivière-du-Loup to get away from the police. This led to her falling into drugs and gambling, which she then blew a significant amount of money on. The boss arranges for the group to head to Chandler and retrieve the murder weapon in order to get rid of the evidence for good. However, the group are unable to locate the weapon. So it's been like she ditched it in 1998, and it's now 2012. I don't.
Yeah,
seems like a bit of a stretch.
at least one random hobo was like, "Look at this carpet!"
Yeah, and then found the gun and was like, "Oh my god, a gun!"
Oh man, I bet I could get dollars for this.
Walked in the local convenience store. Give me your money.
No, walks into the local convenience store. Give me your best subs.
We only have Dobbs.
The last subs were bought years ago.
Some lady came around noon and bought.
We do have those.
So, anyways, on the way back, Johanne has them stop at Chandler's IGA, which was a
grocery chain.
Mm.
And so she can buy the boss Diet Coke and chocolate chip cookies.
Is the boss like 12?
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking like he's a fucking 5-year-old. So, however, once she exits the IGA, she's put under arrest for the murder of James DeBay. The entire series of events with this woman was actually a sting operation known as Mr. Big.
Whoa! Holy shit!
I mean,
did you see that happening? I totally didn't see that coming. What?
Just gonna say, that's not an American thing. They don't do it in America at all. The Mr. Big thing is considered unconstitutional to them.
Oh, regardless, I go, okay, well, that just seemed obvious to me that it was a sting operation.
So, a Mr. Big operation is when law enforcement puts together a scenario where the suspect is rising in the ranks of a criminal organization. Eventually, they are set to meet the big boss, but they need to know that they can trust the suspect, so they confront them with a crime in order to ascertain a confession. It is an effective tool in getting new evidence for cold cases. 350 cases of these operations have been carried out in the last 30 years. And in 2014, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of Mr. Big operations. I actually completely disagree with these things because there's actually a lot of cases. And while it's legal here in Canada and illegal in the States, in Canada town it's legal, but in the States, like in the other states, you can hand these over to the other states and they can still use it in court as if it's legal in their state.
Mm.
Which I think is ridiculous. If it's unconstitutional
How can they use it?
Yeah, you can't use that. And it's a foreign body doing the investigation, so I don't believe that should have any kind of validity.
That's
also, a lot of people, if you're confronted with people that are huge members of the criminal organization and they're confronting you with a crime and you need to either A, seem big, or like he just did, you killed your husband basically. He just basically outright said that. We need your help or you'll lose everything. Well, she needs the money. So, okay, I'll just confess to killing him.
Yeah.
I mean, these kinds of pressure tactics are not uncommon with police.
So, the woman who was identified in all the Supreme Court files as SQ0902 was an agent for a larger Quebec operation, like security operation. During the 6 months operation, Johanna received $18,000 for the work she had done and was reimbursed $2,400 for the expenses. And so she did this from December 20th to June.
That's all like cash, presumably.
Yeah. So during Johanne's trial, some interesting facts came out. It turned out that the day of James's death, he was scheduled to go see a lawyer about dissolving his ownership of the fish factory. If this had happened, this would have led to his life insurance being voided. The Crown added this to the mountain of evidence they already had, but Johanne remained adamant that she had nothing to do with the death of James and that she only confessed due to fear of being killed by the big boss. This is slightly backed up by the fact that when she was told in the car that the boss was not in a good mood, she did ask the agent, SQ0902, if any harm would befall them for going to see him. So the agent had said no, and the other evidence behind her not having anything to do with this is that She did admit to this rifle being put there, but they never retrieved any rifle. But again, it's been years.
Yeah.
That hobo went and got some good subs. So after
I love this rug!
So after 3 days of deliberation, a jury of 5 men and 7 women found Johanne Johnson guilty of second-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 11 years. Life in Canada is 25 years. So
It's not in the States?
some states have something like that, and some states even have it like 40 years, so on, but some states actually have it, you're in there for life.
Oh, really?
And up here in Canada, she's eligible for parole at 11 years, and 25 years is a life term. However, you can be not released after your term is over.
Okay.
Simply because they declare you like a dangerous
society.
Yeah. So, for instance, people like Paul Bernardo will never get out because they're declared dangerous. And what they look for is like remorse and so on. And he obviously has never. We'll have to do a whole thing on him at one point, but
25 years in prison is not great for your health for a lot of people. So
yeah,
I don't doubt it.
So Andre Dubé, who is James's brother, stated, quote, "It was in cold blood. If she had done this while on drink or drugs, I would have understood. But
Really?
This was around noon, and she was fasting." End quote. Yeah, because she said it was in the heat of a moment. That's why she got second degree. Instead of first degree.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I just meant like I would have understood it, but within the context of that, fair enough.
Guy LaBelle said it was a relief that she was arrested after 15 years. Quote, "I said to myself, we were right. The investigation was right." End quote. Johanne Johnson is appealing the decision based on the Mr. Big aspects of the case because it's not normally, it doesn't really seem constitutional, and that's why the Supreme Court had to uphold it. However,
I kind of understand that.
However, the Crown is confident that the case against her will hold. They do have like a confession on tape because it was all recorded. So
yeah,
and that's the whole case.
Is it still in the system?
Yeah, she's still appealing it as of 2020. I did find that she was still working on these appeals, and her main basis is that she was coerced into this through this Mr. Big sting operation.
She must be like 70-something now, right?
Well, she was 57 in 2012. So
tack on 8 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting close to 70.
Yeah.
He was just a senior.
Yeah. Either way, it's jeez.
Yep. And that's the whole thing. So
it's oddly straightforward.
Yep.
And not as dark as they usually get.
I was trying to keep it a little more lighthearted for this one, so.
And then French.
Well, you can't do that with French people.
Yeah.
I was going to go right the other way. Can you take them seriously?
No.
Yeah. You're like a offensive teddy bear. I don't believe so. Have you ever smoked a day in your life?
No.
Okay.
Though it's weird because I do have a weird hand posture that would make sense if I were a smoker, though.
Nah, your hand's too loose.
Well, he's not actually gripping something.
He does have invisible toys he leaves around.
This is true.
Because I do have an odd morals fixation with like summer sticks and whatnot.
Oh my god. I just imagine that you have invisible cigarettes all over.
Well, I haven't put this one out. But no, I used to get those plastic sucker sticks, and I actually do regularly like chew on them, and I'll like hold them like a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I've never understood where this came from.
Did you like the Popeye candy sticks? Because that might be it.
They were around when I was a kid, and they were cigarettes at the time.
Yeah.
But I didn't have those as often.
Fair enough.
So, anyways.
What's with that big grin, motherfucker?
Well, all I can think to myself is, you just said suckers, which is not an American expression.
How many times did you say Canada?
Yeah, I know.
You
guys call it out on me.
Bucks.
Yeah, I said
Both
bucks.
suck at this.
I was talking about deer.
I thought you were gonna say pussy.
I don't want to see the pussy you would call a buck.
Yeah.
I heard box.
Oh,
My bad.
Trade 2 box for it.
Yeah.
Pimp.
But for all they know, it's also a specialty thing in Canada Town, USA.
Yeah.
But everything is specialty in the sex world.
Well, I'll also say one thing about this case. They tried painting it as she was after the insurance money. Part of me believes that maybe if she did kill him, which I'm pretty certain she did, it was about the domestic dispute. It wasn't...
Yeah, well, it seemed pretty obvious that was the case.
Yeah. Plus, the insurance money was what, a fifth of the boat money? Like, it's relatively meaningless in the scale of things.
Yeah.
What are you looking up for us?
Nothing.
But
yeah. Yeah, so that's how I feel about that, is just that it wasn't for the insurance money, even though the Crown, pushed really hard for that. And just for clarification, the Crown in Canada is what a prosecutor is. So
it's a lot of effort to go after a lady who basically ran away.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I actually didn't know about the Crown.
You didn't? You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know.
I believe it's a Commonwealth thing.
Yeah.
As in representative of the Queen.
Like the United Kingdom and so on.
I could gather that. I just never knew it was a prosecutor.
It's like in USA, it's even though it's a prosecutor, they're on behalf of the state.
Yeah, so it would be called the Crown prosecution because you're prosecuting on behalf of the government.
Oh, I see.
And that's why there's defense attorneys and Crown attorneys, and
that makes sense.
Yeah.
If Canada really fucks up, a defense Crown attorney.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, Ben would know about that.
Yeah.
Woo! All right.
When did you turn into a woo girl? You too? It's spreading like a virus.
I'm coming up with as many characters, man.
Syphilis.
Woo!
I have to go
need to sleep better.
I'm going to show up next time with a body condom.
I found her at the convenience store.
Woo!
Alright, let's wrap this up.
All right. House cleaning, all that jazz.
Rate, review, subscribe, all those great things. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BAChaosJar and at I'm glad you asked _.
Since you guys are all giving away, I'm gonna go rock piss off.
He's gonna go, what?
I don't know.
I heard rock myself, and I'm like, okay, just don't do it on that archway. It's probably dangerous.
Well, it is his birthday. Let him have it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go rock myself.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Facebook, Pandora Jar, patreon.com/chaosjar. And yeah.
Yeah. And as usual, when he brings up my Twitter, you ask me random questions, I will give you random answers. Yes, I still want to keep that advertisement up. That's my shtick.
Random questions for random answers?
Yeah, of course. That's what I do.
It's like an economy of...
All right, folks. Well, you have a good night.